So last year, I had the awesome opportunity to go canyoning in Bali. All right, for those of you who aren't familiar with canyoning, it's when you go from the start to the end of a canyon, normally in a wetsuit, and it involves hiking, but also jumping off of cliffs, belaying down waterfalls, and generally slip sliding your way from start to finish. And I loved it. I found it absolutely brilliant. And I was there with this group of amazing folks, some of these guys super tough. And I remember we get to the first cliff. And I think it was maybe a 4 or 5 meter jump. And something inside of me clicked. I remember having this thought, okay, girl, you know that you want to have this experience. You know that you want to go from the top of the cliff down in the water. And somebody that you trust has told you that it's safe, that there aren't a bunch of rocks down there, that you're not going to die. So, I also knew that if I stepped to that edge and allowed my mind to start toiling over what are the possibilities, I was going to work very hard to convince myself out of it. And what I wanted was to have that experience, to do this jump. And so, instead of getting up there and deliberating about what I wanted to do, I stepped off and counted 3, 2, 1, and did it. And as we were in the car, headed back to our house afterwards, I had this little realization and this question that came up. And the question was, why do I find that something so extreme, something super extreme in most cases, for most people, why do I find that so much easier than the everyday decisions in my life? And I started thinking about the difference between what I call FOMO, fear of missing out, and FLOMO, flowing motion, or motion in flow. And there's a reason why I'm next to the river right now. Because I realized I had this concept that when I jump in, I'm a little bit of an extremist in some ways. So when I jump in, I feel like, I can go with the flow of life. But life is always flowing. The difference is when we're clear on our intention. Because the flow of life isn't just to jump in and let it take us where it will. The flow of life has many divides, many chances to make choices. In fact, almost constant opportunity for choices. It's just that we don't need to be swimming upstream as fast as we can with all of our energy. It's that we can flow, but at the same time be intentional. And when we're in the flow of life, we're not thinking about what happens down the river 10 miles, or as sometimes people ask, what do you want to do in 5 years? But it's what's in my immediate vision. What do I see right in front of me that I want to explore? And what I realized with those everyday decisions in life, whenever I saw 10 or 12 things in front of me, I was sitting there and I was trying to evaluate. My mind was trying to be this beautiful, logical thing to weigh out every different option and figure out which one was prime, which one was the way to go. But if I'm having that much trouble with these decisions, chances are either they're all quite good options and I just get to choose, which is scary because that means I take responsibility for my actions. Or I'm evaluating on a number of different standpoints, meaning I'm looking at things maybe not just from a wise standpoint, but from what happens if I miss out on this? Will it come back around? That FOMO starts creeping in. But whenever I allow myself in that moment to look just 1 or 2 steps ahead to say, is this something that I want? Is this the experience that I want? And to move forward in that way, I find it amazing that things start to just flow and those decisions become easier with that flow of motion. When I just count 3, 2, 1 and dive in.